Hey guys, welcome back to the Team Ham channel. James here, bringing you his updated Flagburg deck profile for Standard with the 50 card main deck rule applied. I know some people have been wanting to see an update on this deck, especially with the 4 extra card slots we now have available to use. And so I figure, well, let me just show what I'm doing with my Flagburg deck. See if you guys want to get any ideas from it. Let me know what you guys think. And I also just want to give a shout out to Jack from Team Empire. He was telling me about his Flagburg deck, and I believe he used in the last Clash of Nations event. So I kind of took some ideas from your deck, man. So if you do see this, just so you know, some of the ideas you see here, I did get from your deck. So with that being said, let's go into deck profile, guys. So as you can see, I'm still running the ride line for Flagburg. I still really like this ride line, because on the fact that on grade 2 I can summon this from the soul and try to do early aggression pokes at my opponent. I've tried doing the Zorga ride line, and I always go in and out with it. I'm not the biggest fan of orders myself. I try to run them at a bare minimum if I need to run any. So as you'll see in this version of the deck, there's only 3 orders I run. And the only reason why I run them is because they're basically free. They have no cost to play them. So, but yeah. So this is the ride line I'm using right now. And so we'll go into the 3s. So as you saw, this is this is standard now. So persona riding is important. So running the extra copies of your persona ride, your main boss that you want, is definitely needed. And just a quick overview in case if you're looking at this deck profile and you don't know what Flagburg really does. He's basically Aqua Force from V and Premium, in that depending how many attacks you do, he gets an effect. So if you do 3 or more attacks, when he swings, you can draw a card. If you do 4 more attacks, you can choose 2 of your opponent's rear guards to retire. And then the main effect, if you do 5 attacks this turn, at least you do a guard restrict of when he attacks, they have to drop 3 or more from hand to block him, and he gets an extra 10k power. So he's a very good boss, very strong. I wish they would release more like quality support for Flagburg so he can keep up with the newest decks that have come out. But he can still contend and take a few games here and there if you play the deck right and you know your matchups. So, but yeah, we still run the playset of Flagburg, and then this is my personal beauty and joy. I love it. Running a playset of the inlet, but as you can see, it is the champion inlet. The last one finally came in the mail, so I now have a playset in my deck, and I love drawing into these when I'm playing my deck. But yeah, inlet is just a very important staple card. He is definitely a 4-of for Flagburg, as he is one of your restanders in the deck. And then of course, if you already play stoicheia or any form of it, you'll know that after you do 4 more attacks at the end of the turn, he'll go into soul and you get to draw an extra card. So he gives you an extra soul and an extra draw. So we run the 4 of him. And then I run the 1 of Shelling Cannon. Now I used to run this guy as a 2-of in the deck, but after I talked to Jack a little bit and got his insights on how he plays his Flagburg, I kind of like the way he went with it, in that he runs the 1 of these and then the 1 Forbidal order. So the main thing with the Forbidal is you're going to use this to superior call this and the inlet from deck or drop. So that means that if you see this early, you can pitch this for ride line and you can get it back with Forbidal, or if this is still stuck in your deck and you draw the Forbidal, you can play it. Just a very solid card. It allows Flagburg to do the 6 attacks. Because the way the deck is built right now, it's more focused on doing 5 attacks as consistently as possible. But we still run the 1 so we can get that 6 attack in if, you know, the fates and the gods let us by drawing either this or drawing into him, right? But yeah, so we do 1 of each. And then that's for the 3s. So for the 2s, we still run the playset of the Oryx. She is a very important restander, grade 2 for the deck. After she attacks a Vanguard, if she's the 2nd battle of the turn and you have a standing Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1 to stand her back up, and she gets an additional 5. The 5k matters, especially on turns when you Persona Ride. You'll swing with 1 rear guard, and then swing with her, because your Vanguard is a standing Flagburg, because he's going to most likely be the last one to attack, which he usually is. you can Soul Blast, stand her up, and she'll get 5. So on her second attack, she'll be 25k by herself. If you put an 8k booster, she's 33. But again, this is on Persona Ride turns, so she's really strong. Definitely, if you're playing Flagburg, you need to run 4 of this in the deck, I feel. You can try to get away with 3, but you want to see her as consistently as possible. So that's why you run her as the 4 of. And now, the other order I run in the deck, it actually just came out very recently in set 13, is this order Command of Death's Restraint. So I used to run Resentment, and you could Soul Blast 1, check top 3, mill 1, and then call from drop. So this basically does the same thing, but instead of checking top 3 to mill 1, you just mill the top card of your deck. And then you can choose a card from your drop zone, and if it's the same grade or less than your Vanguard, you get to call it to rear. But if it's a normal order, you can add it to your hand instead. So a couple of games this has happened where I've opened with this, and then like post mulligan I'll have this in hand, right? So I will discard the 4 Badol for Ride Line, and then when I hit to grade 3, I can play this, mill a card, so I thin my deck by 1 card, and then I can add the order to hand. So that way you guys can read it up close and personal. See how it says put into hand if it is a normal order not named itself. So you can definitely like retrieve 4 Badol back into your hand if for some reason you pitch it for Ride Line, like I usually do, or if you heal it during the game, so you can add it back to your hand with this and play it on your following turn. So definitely like it. The fact that it's a free cost, it's not countered by Soul Blast, which is very, very heavy for Flagburg. It's a much welcome card in the deck. And before you ask, how many times have I milled the over trigger with this? Only once, and I've played with the deck at least 30 times. So just in case you were wondering. And then we're going to go to grade 1s. So obviously you need a playset of your PGs. PGs are PGs. I've toyed around with maybe knocking one of this down for the Blitz Order Elementaria, but at my locals, there's not really a lot of people that play the Drejeweled or any of the Stride decks currently. So I've just been playing the 4 regular PGs, and that's been working just fine for me. But if at your locals you see a lot more like grade 4s being played or decks that can get the triple drive ability, then for sure you can knock one of these down for the Elementaria. And then we also play a playset of the Prize Trident. He's your main resource generator. He'll go into Soul to countercharge 1 once your unit attacks for the 5th battle. So basically when Flagburg swings, he'll go into Soul, you get to countercharge, you get an extra Soul but with him, and then you can pay the cost for Flagburg and this and that. So definitely a 4 of in the deck, I feel. And then I run 3 of this guy, the Wavecrest Brave Shooter. So when this card was revealed, I was ecstatic as a Flagburg player. We actually have a searcher now, so here you go. So you guys can like read it, hopefully. There you go. But he is a searcher for the top 7 for a Flagburg or an Ascendance Assault if you run it in your main deck. And just like how Burning Horn does for Overlord, if you whiff your search, you get your counterblast back. So the fact that we have a unit that lets us search for our main boss, maybe the extra attacker if you want to run one in your deck, is amazing. That adds consistency, which I love. But if for some reason you whiff, you get your cost back. So now you can use that counterblast for something else. So that's really awesome. And then his other effect is when after he boosts, if he's the 4th battle of that turn or more, he can go into Soul. So he can pay for the cost of RX or Inlet Pulse on your next turn. So that's actually a big deal. I didn't think that would come into like play a lot, that second effect, but you'd be surprised. I was very surprised. It does come in clutch a lot for that extra Soul, especially if you can't Persona Ride the next turn. So we run the 3 of him. And then we also run 3 of the Mushroom Man. The power of the mushrooms will compel anyone. And it definitely compelled me to keep running this in my deck. So because of the 4 extra slots, I was able to keep this card in my deck. Originally, I did take it out for this guy when he came out, because they both basically do the same thing. But I felt I got more value out of this one. But now that we have the 4 cards that we can mess around with, I was able to put back in the 3 Mushroom Men. So I'm liking that a lot. That early aggression of calling 2 tokens on your turn 2, or if I'm going second, my turn 1. generate extra soul, which is again important for inlet and RX. So, and the reason why we're not running the 4 is because the last slot is taken up by this guy. Honestly, I've been trying to figure out what to put in those 4 slots, and those 4 cards so far, him and the 3 of these have been working well for me. I've been trying out different cards too. I'm still trying out different cards. I'm trying to make the best Flagburg possible, guys. So for right now, this is working until I find something else or a combo with something else. But this guy basically, he has to be the back row center rear guard, so he kind of clashes with the shelling cannon. But because we only run the 1 shelling, it doesn't clash like as often as you'd think. But he's basically here just to let you do a free Flagburg effect if Flagburg is the 5th battle or more. Since he makes the auto ability of your Vanguard, the auto ability of your Flagburg Vanguard, to reduce its counterblast cost by 1. And since Flagburg is only 1 counterblast, basically it's free. So allows you to conserve counterblast for future turns and whatnot. He's a one-of in that if you see him, it's cool. If you don't, it's not a big deal, not the end of the world. It's just something nice to have. So that's why I run him as the one-of. Then for the last grade 1s, I run 2 of her. So she says, if your Vanguard is Flagburg, once per turn you can counterblast, discard a card, call something from drop, and give that unit you call +5. So I saw that Jack was mentioning this card, and I saw him using it during the tournament, and I thought, you know, that's actually pretty clever. So because you don't run the Ascendance Assault anymore, and you have the Inlet Pulse and the RX, you have spare counterblast to use that you normally would have spent for the Ascendance. So you can use that counterblast as for other resources like resurrect units, obviously the counterblast for Flagburg, the counterblast for the shelling cannon. So you can use this counterblast for other things, and that's what I really like about playing this version of the deck with these type of units and with that mindset. So again, thank you, Jack, for giving me the clever ideas. It's definitely been working for sure. Why do I not want to run this more than 2? Because I don't want to use this effect that much. So she's only to be used maybe twice a game. So I want to see her in that not only is she a booster, but she also resurrects. But if I run her as a 4, I'll see too many. And I'll just start pitching this for another one of another copy. Like say if I had 4 and I had 2 on board, I'll just use the counterblast and pitch a copy that's in my hand. That copy could have been something else. So I don't want to run into that situation, hence we stay at the 2. And last but not least, one of my favorite cards that came in set 12 were these little guys. So everyone tells me it's a cat. To me, it's a carbuncle. You tell me what you think, chat. But I love these little guys. So in every overdress deck, every standard deck, I have to call it standard now. Every standard deck that I have, I try to run these little guys because they're quite amazing. And in Flagburg, there's no exception. So with this, you can only do this effect twice a game because the cost of it is to return 2 cards from the right deck from your drop or soul back to your right deck. This is a soul generator for stoicheia, which the soul is greatly appreciated in Flagburg for inlet and RX, just how important they are. And you can choose one of your units and it gets 5k. So not only can you call it, give the unit in front of it, for example, an extra 5 to swing for a 23 magic number. You can also give the 5k to your Vanguard as well, because it doesn't say rear guard. So you can give Flagburg that extra 5k that might matter on Persona Right turns. You can give your 5k to RX so she can swing 15 by herself and then restand, swing 20 on non-Persona Right turns. He is also a 20k shield if you decide to call him to Guardian Circle instead, which the extra shield is greatly appreciated in Flagburg as well. So all around, I love these little guys. Definitely try them out in your deck if you haven't. Definitely good cards. And then for the triggers, to finish it up, we still run the 7 crits. And the reason why is because we try to fit in the room for the 4 draws. Now, why is that? Well, as you notice, this deck is a combo piece reliant deck. You do need to see your multi-attackers when possible. So having the extra draw in here to have 4 draws gives you a higher chance of maybe drawing into your combo pieces for your next turn. It also lets you maybe potentially draw into your defensive cards, hopefully. I've tried 8 crit, 3 draws. I felt that was a little too much. I started damage checking more crits than I would like to. So that's why we went back to the 7-4, and I've been loving it like this. And of course, because we do that, we have the 4 heals. I'm not a big fan of the effect heals. I'll try maybe 1 if anything, but in Flagburg, I just really like the raw shield value that the normal vanilla heals offer. If an effect heal comes out in the future that lets us have extra raw shield value for a lot easier of a condition, then I'll just run those instead over these heals. But for the time being, I'm really liking the vanilla 4 heals. And then we'll finish up with the OT. We like the blue OT because, again, combo piece reliant deck. I want to see combo pieces back into my hand from the drop zone. This also lets me fetch a PG or more shield from the drop if I feel I'm going to need it. Or, you know, maybe somehow I damaged a Persona Ride and I healed it off. I see this, I can add the Persona Ride to hand to prepare for the next turn. A lot of utility with the blue OT, so that's why we run this. I wish I could run the stoicheia because I really do appreciate the heal effect that the stoicheia overtrigger offers. But in most of my playtesting, it's been mainly recurring cards from the drop that's been helping out more in closing out games. So, and an extra crit still makes it warrant to warrant this, which is what also the stoicheia trigger also offers. So I basically give up a heal, get something from drop. I'll take that trade. So, and let's see, that's it from me. So hopefully you guys liked my updated Flagburg list. I'm a huge supporter of Flagburg. I love the deck. Been playing it since it came out in set 3. I know I've been branching out, trying other different decks, but I'll always go back to my try and true here in Overdress. And I'm pretty sure y'all could guess that with all the nice shiny cards that y'all saw. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you have any ideas, suggestions, please send them over. Put them in the chat. I love reading the comments. I love reading the suggestions you guys may have for the deck. And hopefully you guys like this content. I will see you guys in the new year. All right, guys. Y'all take care.